Okay, I guess it's time. I'm Amy Rutledge. I am one of the biology faculty here at Spoon River College, and I am going to finish up the college theme season with my presentation, and I wanted to have a little conversation on climate change. So, spoiler alert, if you didn't know, we have been, with our activities since the end of the Industrial Revolution, been increasing the amount of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The effect of that has been an increase in global average temperature. We're sitting, the last data came in around 1 degree Celsius, which is 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Instead of going on and on about that, I wanted to talk about what we can do as individuals to limit that change and try and get it to slow down, to stop. So what happens when we have climate change? In addition to that warming of the temperature, the other effects you can see on the nightly news. We have had increases in weather events, extreme weather events. They happen more frequently, they are more intense, they do more damage. We're seeing increases in wildfires, melting of the polar ice caps, melting of glaciers, which all is going to, especially with the glaciers, result in the increase in sea level rise. We're having drought events. So basically, as we get warmer, the events become more frequent, they become more extreme. So the lower we can keep that warming, the better it will be for us, as well as all of the other organisms that share this one world with us. So the United Nations has a group of scientists that they've collected from around the world. Woo! Doing a little dance, sorry. They are the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC. They release assessment reports periodically to where they have taken all of the published research on climate and climate change, put it together and say this is where we are at this point. The 6th report came out over the past handful of months. The last portion of the report of AR6 was released this month. It was from the 3rd work group, and it focused on mitigation of climate change. I'm showing you this is my citation. The graphs and data that I'm going to present are from this particular report. I have a clicker and I forgot to use it. Not that way. So, instead of showing you that graph of where we're going to be with warming, it doesn't have a lot of meaning for practical application. We need to know this is how much we're putting in to the budget of greenhouse gases. Where do we need to stop, and what happens if we go over, how we can bring those numbers down. So this is a graph of the historic greenhouse gas emissions since the end of the Industrial Revolution. We are sitting here. We have released into the atmosphere approximately 2,400 gigatons of greenhouse gases into that atmosphere in that time period. A gigaton, if you don't know, is part of the metric system. 1 gigaton is equal to 1 billion metric tons. A single metric ton is equivalent to 2,205 pounds. So 1 gigaton, take 2,205, throw 9 zeros on it. That's how many pounds we're dealing with. We've released 2,400 in that time frame, give or take some errors in data collection. And variability. This has put us at approximately what we believe is 1% degree C warming. We're shooting to stay under 1.5. That means our budget for 1.5 is 2,900 gigatons of greenhouse gas emission. That leaves us with a really narrow window of about 500 gigatons. Unfortunately, the data does not look good. The last set of data came from 2019, and it does look like we have overshot that. So that budget that we had for 1, we've blown past, and we probably have blown past the 1.5. So The report even states this is probably the last time you'll see us talk about 1.5 warming. We're now going to focus on 2. And again, every time we go up, intensity gets worse. More intense, more frequent, hotter, wetter, drier, depending on what the event is. So 2 degrees C warming is 3,550 gigatons in the budget. If we have got to 29, it leaves us with about 600 gigatons that we need to bring down. So to give you more numbers to see what we're doing, this graph shows you the amount of gigatons of greenhouse gases that have been emitted by year since 1990. So you can see in 1990, we are at 38 gigatons. 2019, with an almost steady rise, with a couple of changes in variability in there, we, in 2019, released 59 gigatons. We're still going up. We need to level this down and we need to bring it down. So to be practical about this, we need to identify what it is we are doing that is causing these numbers to go up. So in the diagram, they have it broken out by sector, so activities that we humans are doing, and the percentage that each one of, or that accounts for the total amount. So energy production is where the largest percentage of greenhouse gases are coming from. In other words, how we make electricity is a big player there. Next, the orange is industry at 24% of greenhouse gases. This is how we make things, how we create metals that we put into products, all the products that we put into the market and utilize. The blue is, it's AFOLU, it's agriculture, forestry, and other land uses. So how we grow our food, what we do to forests, whether we're cutting them down, burning them down, or building them back up. The pink is transportation. So in other words, what's coming out of the tailpipe of the car you drive, any of the vehicles that are moving either us or material goods around the planet. And then the last 6% is from buildings. So emissions that have to deal with the structures we work and live in. So, oh man, sorry guys, it's gonna bounce around on us. What we have here is we've gone through each of these sectors and identified things that we can do to mitigate. In other words, reduce the emissions. So in the figure above, it's a list of mitigation options. What you see across the side is a scale of 0 to 46. That is in gigatons per year. And as you go further towards that direction, means a greater amount of reduction in gas emissions. So the more we go and develop those particular mitigations, the more reduction we get. The color is indicating costs relative to a standard. So I understand we in this room are in different stages of life, which means what we as individuals can do is going to vary from one person to the next. But ultimately, I don't want this to be a downer. I want this to be positive. What can we do to actually make an effort? So I'm going to go through some of the easiest ways to some of the more expensive ways that we can do, depending on where you are in your life station. So I'm going to look at energy, agriculture or land use, transportation, and buildings. I'm not going to address industry because industry is more on the supply side. We as individuals don't have a lot of control there. That comes down to our governments having the will to regulate those. So aside from some comments I'll make on the end, we're going to skip that. Energy being first because it's the biggest. First thing you can do, and all of us can do this, reduce how much electricity you're using. Quick and easy. The less electricity we use, the less greenhouse gas emissions we're getting from that. You can call your power company. Find out if you are paying a power bill, call the company and see if they have any renewable options. See if you can put part of your bill towards funding wind power or solar power. Those are things that you can do. It might increase your power bill a little bit now, but ultimately, those energy sources are getting cheaper and cheaper every single year to the point that solar and wind are almost, if not as competitive financially as coal production electricity. So it's getting better, and the more we fund it, the better it'll get. Again, this is an expense later in life if you do have a home. Install solar panels. I know we don't have perfect sunshine year round, but we do get enough to offset costs. And this is something you can do at home to help with reducing your electricity load. Transportation. This is something you can do a lot. And because first off, just don't drive as much, right? Take a walk instead. You don't need to drive your car. If you live in the villas, walk to campus. Don't get in your car and drive over here. It's real simple, real easy. And oh, by the way, you don't pay as much as a gas pump, and it's a healthy lifestyle. You're going to improve your health when you do it. If you can't walk, take a bike. If you can't take a bike to where you're going, get an electric bike or get a scooter. But work your way up, all the while trying to reduce how much you're spending in that car. And I guess a lot of us live in rural areas. I live in the middle of the country. I can't take a bike to go grocery shopping. So plan fewer trips. I have 1 day a week where I go and run all of my running. And a lot of times I go with my best friend. We have a shopping day. We get all of our shopping done in that 1 day. We carpool to do it, to get everything we need. You reduce the amount of mileage and emissions that you're putting in there. And COVID, one of the things it's taught us, some jobs can be done through telecommunication. You don't have to drive to work. Stay at home, save gas, save emissions. This one's a little bit harder, but it's easy to do if you make the effort. I like to drive fast. I regularly have arguments with my husband about it. I like to go a little fast, but if I slow down, I know my gas mileage gets better. I drive a hybrid. My commute from home to campus when I'm speeding is about 49 to 50 miles per gallon, which is good. But if I go the speed limit, behave, sometimes go a little bit slower, I've gotten to 60 miles per gallon in my car, just going the speed limit. So this is something we can consciously make an effort to do. And then depending on your financial status, drive the most efficient thing you can afford. Don't drive that beater gas guzzler if you can afford a decent little 4-cylinder that gets good gas mileage. When you make a little bit more money, move into something more efficient. If you can't afford that fancy electric car, get a hybrid. Oh, by the way, those fancy electric cars aren't just fancy anymore. We don't have just Tesla with the super expensive option. All of the major car makers are making electric vehicles. Either they're already on the market or they will be within the next couple of years. And an electric vehicle is more energy efficient than a combustion engine. So you're going to reduce your emissions there. For agriculture, forestry, and land use, I know that we are an agricultural community, and I don't always want to pick on agriculture, but we've been doing things poorly for a long time. There are ways of improving our agriculture, and it's happening. Just we need it to happen faster. One of the things that we can do to help is reduce how much you're consuming food-wise. We waste a lot of food here in the United States. Either at the supermarket, throwing out stuff. I show a video to my environmental class. Have you ever thought about when you buy a sandwich at the store, do you ever see a heel on the sandwich? Where do you think all the heels of those loaves of bread go? They get tossed. So reducing that food waste. When you buy food, bring it home, make sure you're consuming all of it. Don't throw it away. Only purchase what you can consume. Embrace the leftover. It won't kill you and it's better for the environment. Another problem with what we have here in the United States, overconsumption. We eat more nutrients than we need. And the more nutrients that we consume means more land that has to go into this activity. We already have a lot of people on the planet that are struggling to get the nutrients they need. And we in the United States and other developed nations are taking way more than our fair share, and a lot of times wasting them. You don't have to have the size of food that regularly comes. When you go to the restaurants, they're always big portions now. You don't need that much food. You also don't need to eat as much meat. Reducing your meat, think about it. To eat meat to grow that animal, we first have to take land to grow food, to feed our food before we eat it. That takes up a lot of space, it creates a lot of emissions, and the simple fact of just not eating meat 1 meal a day, it won't kill you. And oh, by the way, it is better for you healthy-wise. We overconsume. You only need about the size of a deck of cards in protein a day. That's all you need nutrition-wise. You don't need to have that much every single meal. And then make sure you understand where your food's coming from and how it's grown. Not every country has the same regulations. Some break the rules a little bit more and might have more emissions than others. Buy food that's more locally grown. That reduces transportation emissions and supports the local economy. And then here in the United States, we know we have better than normal regulations in a global sense. So you're getting better grown, more efficiently grown food here. Finally, buildings. We have seen an increase in home size in the United States and other developing nations. One of the best ways to help, don't buy such a big home. Live in a smaller home or live in a multifamily housing unit. The more people that are put into a space, the more efficient electricity, heating, cooling, all of that works. And you're using less building resources. Getting those resources does cause emissions and definitely helps. Convert appliances as you go to more efficient versions. It's like changing your light bulbs from incandescents to LEDs helps. I know cooks may cringe when I'm gonna say this, but gas stoves are not as efficient as electric stoves. The electric stove is a more efficient appliance than a gas. And oh, by the way, new research from the EPA just this past couple of months said that, identified the fact that when we are burning gas in your home, you're creating more pollution, air pollution, than we had expected. It increases the levels of methane and other stuff in the air you're breathing. It's not good for you, so it also helps with health as well. So to finish up, kind of went fast, I apologize. My final thought I want to leave you with is got a couple stages. Being educated on the topic is important. Learn what you can do to help mitigate what it's going to take us to get where we need to go. We've had 100 years of data, 100 years of data showing that this is going to happen. And we've done nothing, almost nothing. Unfortunately for you younger people, the older generations have failed you. You guys are going to have to work to become educated and try and push the system to improving this. By being educated, you're going to improve your ability to fulfill your roles in society. You can become better citizens. If you learn about mitigation efforts, you can take that information, gather together, and put pressure on our political systems. Because while we can do some things, we can't do all of this as individuals. It's going to take government influence to get the big changes done. The only way that's going to happen is if you get out and vote for representatives that are going to make an effort to make a change. There's no other way of getting around it. And we are running out of time. Learn how you can work to improve the system. Be a role model. Incorporate these changes in your everyday and then talk to other people about it. Hey, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. Talk to your parents, talk to your siblings, talk to your friends. Because you might influence some others to also do the same thing. And you end up with a domino effect of improvement. You are consumers. And we are in the top 10% of wealthy people in the world. You may not believe it, even you college students. We as Americans are more wealthy than most people on the planet. We consume more than most people. So if you're making good choices, reducing your consumption, all of that works towards reducing emissions. And then you're working towards becoming professionals. You've got jobs that you're going to be doing. Learn how within your jobs you can help further mitigation efforts. Because I promise there is not a particular aspect, single aspect of human life that climate change isn't affecting. It's going to affect and is affecting all of us. So learn what you can do in the jobs, the careers you've chosen, make change happen. Change the standards, learn what we can do. So, because that's all we got. Thanks.